Hello, all. Yeah, I'm here to give you my thoughts and read off exactly what everybody else has been talking about and reading off, and that is Triple H, Paul Levesque, someone that I'm a huge fan of, have been for a long time, ever since he really came into his own as the game, and it's just been, one of the disproven, just proven day in and day out to be one of the best in-ring competitors, and is someone that you would think would understand where the fans are coming from, and perhaps he still does. But during a recent media conference call for NXT Takeover in Your House, which is this Sunday, Dave Meltzer was one of the people that asked him a question during this conference, and I think this was during a Q&A time. And he asked him something according to what people like Just Alex pointed out, something along the lines of, why haven't we seen any more talent going up to the main roster, like, for shows like Raw and SmackDown? Why haven't we seen that? And one thing that Alex pointed out that I think Dave Meltzer kind of pointed out in his question is, why haven't we seen it, since, Shayna Baszler was called up? What's the deal? And, Hunter, in his own way, explained that, there's reasons for it. I think he's even said that, he's even pointed out, and this is a legit shoot, there are talents in NXT, like Tommaso Ciampa, who have made it very clear, don't you send me up to the main roster. Don't you send me up there to be a permanent fixture on Raw or SmackDown. I'm an NXT guy. You keep me here, or I'm hanging up my boots. That's pretty much what he told Hunter. He said, look, if you value me as much as you say you do, don't send me to Raw or SmackDown because I see what's going on there. Let me remain here because I can help grow this brand. And obviously the same for guys like Johnny Gargano and even Finn Balor. Finn Balor was the first Universal Champion. And look what's happened. He's gone back to NXT because he feels he can do better there. Io Shirai, everybody's thinking she's going to go up to the main roster soon. She recently came back. So, obviously something's going on that, in the eyes of a lot of folks, including one Dave Meltzer, just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up as to why, you're not allowing these talents that have pretty much done it all in NXT, to go to the main roster, to go to Raw, to go to SmackDown, or in someone like, let's say, Finn Balor's case or Ember Moon's case, go back to Raw, go back to the main roster, after the short stint in return, or return stint, I should say, in NXT. Well, anyway, like I said, Meltzer asked him that kind of a question from what, Just Alex was able to describe. And this is where the whole tangent, the whole rant that Triple H did, I wouldn't say much of a rant, but more of a calling out, more of a shoot, if you will, on the situation. And this is what Triple H said. This is courtesy of Wrestling Inc. The source is Wrestling Inc., who obviously was on that conference call as well. This was something that Alex had put into the description box of his video, and I copied and pasted it onto onto a page, on Microsoft Word, and printed it out. But this is what Triple H said, and I quote. First of all, let me read what the article from Wrestling Inc. says, and I quote. Ahead of WWE NXT TakeOver in Your House, Paul Triple H Levesque was part of a media call where he discussed the current state and future of NXT. Triple H was asked about the lack of movement within the NXT roster to other brands. And while discussing it, he critiqued wrestling fans. Triple H goes on to say that fans often ruin things by overanalyzing the product. And that's basically a question. And that question that Triple H was asked by the lack of movement of, within NXT, within the NXT roster to the other brands, that's basically alluding to the Dave Meltzer question that he asked him. And basically, while he was trying to answer that, he critiqued wrestling fans by basically saying that we ruin things by overanalyzing, the product. And here's what Triple H said, and I quote, "The fans ruin their own stuff half the time trying to figure out where everything goes and why." Okay, let me reread that. This is what Triple H said, and I quote. This was his answer after that question, where he critiques the fans. And I quote, "The fans ruin their own stuff half the time trying to figure out where everything goes and why it's going there and how, and then trying to pick up the phone and go search for the thing to find out what it is that can ruin it for them so they're not surprised when it happens. I don't understand that. I'm thrilled with what the brand is." Let me reread that. Again, I quote. This is from Triple H. "The fans ruin their own stuff half the time trying to figure out where everything goes and why it's going there and how, and then trying to pick up their phone and go search for the thing to find out what it is that can ruin it for them so they're not surprised when it happens. I don't understand that. I'm thrilled with what the brand is." And what he's talking about is the fact that when we hear rumors about potentially certain, let's say, indie talent, being on WWE's radar from sources like Wrestling Inc. and Sean Ross Sapp and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and Aaron Rift and all of them, when what he's getting at is that when we hear about stuff like that, we go to those sources to try to figure out, okay, are they going to NXT? Are they going to be something by WWE? Are they going to go straight to NXT? Are they going to go straight to the Raw, to Monday Night Raw? Are they going to go straight to SmackDown? We get curious. We get curious. We get inquisitive. We get very inquisitive because we want to know. We want to know so that when they show up, we'll be ready for it. That's what he's getting at from that. I think that's what he's trying to get at here. That he doesn't understand why we do that. Basically, what he's trying to allude to is, hey, why not just not worry about it and keep it a surprise when it happens? Well, that's kind of hard to do coming from somebody, or that's kind of hard to do, and it's kind of hard to respect and listen to and take the advice from when it comes from somebody that 25 years ago this year, a month ago actually, 25 years ago, a month ago, at the end of a house show in MSG, broke the fourth wall by going out to the ring inside a steel cage and doing that infamous curtain call. Yeah. Did Triple H forget about that? Did he forget that he basically is responsible for tearing back the curtain 25 years ago when he and Shawn and Razor and Diesel did that? Does he not forget that moment that he came out and did that group hug with Shawn, Hall, and Nash? Does he not remember that? Because I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's reminded of it every day by fans. And if not every day by people in the offices in Stamford. So for him to come out and say, something like this of, hey, I don't understand why fans do that. Why they have to go and try to figure out, okay, how, where, it's basically what I'm trying to get at is he, for him to come out and say, I don't understand, why we do this, why fans do it, to figure out, okay, is this person going to NXT or are they going to the main roster or what's going on? Or are they on WWE's radar? Is WWE going to sign this person? Again, for him to say he doesn't understand it, this is coming from a guy that, like I said, 25 years ago, basically tore the fourth wall down. And of all and he did it in all places, Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, unless he's getting early stages of Alzheimer's, or he's trying to forget about it, try to block it from his memory, he can't deny the fact that it happened, and by his own admission, if you will, is the reason everybody is like this now. It's one of the forefathers. That moment is one of the forefathers as to why fans are like this now. But yeah, this is, again, rereading it, he says, the fans ruin their own stuff half the time trying to figure out where everything goes and why it's going there and how, and then trying to pick up their phone and go search for the thing to find out what it is that can ruin it for them so they're not surprised when it happens. I don't understand that. I'm thrilled with what the brand is. And again, this is coming from a guy that pretty much, broke kayfabe, broke down the wall, if you will, or down the curtain 25 years ago, that's saying this. And again, unless he's trying to block it from his memory, it sounds very hypocritical, in my opinion. But we continue on, and I quote, what Triple H continuously says, and I quote, I'm happy with where it is. Do I want it to get better? Yes. Do I want it to grow? Yes. Do I want it to expand? Yes. But again, people will take this line. But again, let me reread that. I kind of get ahead of myself. And I quote. This is continuing off what the first paragraph of what he said when he was answering that question. And I quote, I'm happy with where it is. Do I want it to get better? Yes. Do I want it to grow? Yes. Do I want it to expand? Yes. But again, people will take this line, use it out of context. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm not here to make a brand that's around a few years or a few minutes. I want it to be long term. And how it's going to be long term. It's going to be morph and evolve. That's what he said. Okay, let me reread that. I'm happy with where it is. Do I want it to get better? Yes. Do I want it to grow? Yes. Do I want it to expand? Yes. But again, people will take this line, use it out of context. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm not here to make a brand that's around for a few years or a few minutes. I want it to be long term. And how is it going to be long term? It's going to morph and evolve. Now, when he says something along the lines of, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that he doesn't want to make a brand that's only here for a few years or a few minutes. That part right there, where he says he wants to make a brand that's not around for a few years, a few minutes, to me is a shot at promotions like AEW, MLW, Impact, and all that. He's basically what he's saying from that right there is he's saying those brands, they might be good now, but who's to say they'll be around in the next couple of years? Who's to say they'll be around within the next decade? That's what he's saying, and that's what he's getting at by, saying it's a marathon, not a sprint. But again, here's the thing. He does bring up some good points. Does he want it to grow and get better? Yes. Does he want it to expand? Yes. And we all can agree with that. We want it to get better. We want it to expand. We want it to grow. We want it to morph and evolve. He's got good points there, and we agree with that. But the problem is, if you want this brand to remain for a long time, be basically the successor to WWE as a whole, then you need to make progress. You need to take the advice of your fans, of your critics, and say, okay, let me take what they're saying and see what I can do to improve on that. What can I do to make it better? Listen to them. I mean, one of the critiques that, just Alex and Solomonster and everybody else that critiques WWE has said about Johnny Gargano is he's better as a face. He's better as a baby face, not a heel that's part of this, that's basically the leader of this group, The Way. He's better as a baby face. And a lot of people are pointing out that once WWE gets back on the road and once NXT gets back into Full Sail, which inevitably will happen, or unless they expand the seating at the Capitol Wrestling Center, the Performance Center, the fans, the actual physical fans, they're going to let them know that they don't want to boo Johnny, they want to cheer Johnny. And that's what they're getting at, that, hey, if you want this brand, as you say, and we all agree on, to grow and expand and be around for the long term, you need to listen to the fans. You want it to morph and evolve, as you say? Listen to the fans. Give them what they want. Don't go against the grain. Give them what they want. I mean, look at Austin Theory. You think a lot of fans like looking at Austin Theory and looking at him acting like a goofball? No, they want the Austin Theory they saw on the Indies. They want the Austin series they saw in Evolve as the Evolve champion. That's what they want. And all Triple H needs to do, if he wants to keep his NXT brand growing and getting better and bigger and, potentially, as I said, the success of the WWE as a whole, then he needs to listen to the fans and even the insiders' critiques about what is wrong with NXT and what he can do to fix it. That's what he needs to do. That's what he needs to do. Again, we can all agree with what he said about, hey, I wanted to grow, expand, and everything, morph and evolve. Yeah, then we can all agree. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to want and see happen. But it's only going to happen if you listen to the fans and you listen to the critiques of the fans, you listen to the critiques of the wrestling insiders, the legends, the Hall of Famers that have been in this business, and you basically take into consideration, okay, maybe, Johnny Gargano as a heel isn't a good deal. Let's make him a babyface again. Or Candice LeRae as a heel is not a good thing. Let's make her a babyface again. Or Raquel Gonzalez, maybe she's not ready to be the champion right now. Let's have Ember Moon take the belt off her. It makes sense that if you follow those advices, improve on. If you follow those critiques and improve on them, hey, people won't come on here and complain. And that's all they're asking. We all agree with everything that was stated right there in that second paragraph. We wanted to see it expand. We want to see it grow. We want to, see it, get better and everything. We want to see it morph and evolve, but it's only going to do so if you listen to the fans, if you listen to your critics and improve on what needs to be improved and fix what needs to be fixed. But we're not done. We're not done. And I quote, this is the final part that Wrestling Inc. put on here that just Alex copied and pasted onto his description box that I copied and pasted here onto Microsoft Word. And I quote, this is what he says finishing up. It shouldn't be the same. If it's the same 3 years from now or 4 years from now as it is right now, we made a mistake. It's just like people. You grow. If you're the same person 4 years from now, you didn't grow. And basically what he's alluding to right there is if it remains as stagnant, if it remains basically stagnant, yeah, that's the word. If it remains stagnant as it is now, in the next 3 to 4 years, then they made a mistake. After improving on them, don't go back. Don't go back on changing, and don't go back on changing them back to what they were before. Keep them as they are. Don't go back. Don't go back to having, okay, you're going to make Johnny Gargano a face again. Don't decide after a while, okay, we're going to make him heel again. No, you keep him a face. Don't say, oh, we're going to make Tommaso Ciampa a villainous heel once more. Don't decide, okay, now we're going to make him a face. No, you keep him a villainous heel. You do that. You do that, and I guarantee you people will stop complaining. Just listen to the fans. Listen to your critics, the insiders, the Hall of Famers, the legends, and, like I said, mostly the fans. Because I guarantee you, once you take those critiques and everything and improve on them, hey, you might be surprised that you might have an audience back probably bigger than you've had before. But what do you guys think about what Triple H had to say about the fan base? How do you feel about that? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are in the live chat. And I'll talk to y'all later.